start where they stop. It means it doesn't matter what age you are, what gender you are, what size you are. If you want to start your fitness journey or any journey in your life, it's never too late to start that journey. And it's a book about a lot about my experience of growing up and what I've been through as a kid. Because, like I said, a lot of people who know me now would never believe what I've been through as a kid. They just would assume that I've always been naturally in great shape and always been happy how I look. So it's a lot about my past and growing up, but then it's a lot about giving people the tools to goal set, to achieve goals that they want to achieve, and not be scared of aiming high.
Hello, and welcome to Pursuing Health. I'm Dr. Julie Fouché, family physician and former CrossFit Games athlete. Here, I bring you information and inspiration to help bridge the gap between fitness and medicine and support your journey toward your healthiest self. In this episode, I sit down with Zack George, who earned the title of Fittest Man in the UK in 2020. Zack wasn't always so fit or into training. As a child, a steady diet of sweets and fast food led him to being extremely overweight and self-conscious. But with the support of his family, he was slowly able to transform from a kid who hated exercise to one of the most athletic teens in his school. Fueled by the knowledge of how much better he felt living a healthy lifestyle, Zack has made it his mission to inspire others to do the same. So in addition to training for the 2021 CrossFit Games, he coaches others at his affiliate, CrossFit BFG. He works with remote clients, and he's just written a book based on his personal mantra, Start Where Others Stop. In this episode, we sit down to chat about how making small changes can lead to dramatic results, why it's important to surround yourself with the right community, and why it's never too late to set big goals and chase them down. Before we dive into the episode, I do want to make it clear that this podcast is for general information only and does not provide medical advice. I recommend that you seek assistance from your personal physician for any health conditions or concerns. Now, let's get started with the episode. So, welcome to Pursuing Health. I'm so excited to be here with the fittest man in the UK, Zack George. Thank you for joining me on this lovely morning for me, and it sounds like a rainy afternoon for you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on this podcast. Been very looking forward to it. But yes, not good weather in England today. Never good weather in England.
Well, you mentioned just before we started recording that you had done a training session already today, and we're looking at week one of the 2021 CrossFit Open this week. So I guess I just want to start off with how are you feeling and what are your thoughts going into the Open?
Yeah, feeling really good. It's a lot less stress and very different this season than it has been to previous seasons. So obviously when I win the Open was very much your ticket to get to the game. So there's a lot of pressure over those 5 weeks. You wanted to peak for those 5 weeks. So you want to be in the best possible condition you can be. Whereas now it's a little bit different. You don't really want to be peaking now too early. You want to be peaking for the semi-finals that are going to be around May, June time. So yeah, it's probably going to be the first Open where you can just enjoy it and have a bit of fun with it and not take it so seriously and not get so stressed out about the whole process.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting the workouts and seeing what they are. But in England, we're still in lockdown, so you've not got that atmosphere of doing it with all your members and the people around you, which is going to be a bit of a weird one. But yeah, very much excited for it.
That's great. Well, yeah, probably easier said than done not to get too stressed out, but at least good to know there's not so much pressure on this stage.
Yeah,
and
100%.
you've seen a lot of changes in the format since, you first went to regionals in 2018, and then the format I think has changed every year since then.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the format going into this season? What are your thoughts?
I think with CrossFit, and I've done it for 7 years now, you just get used to the changes and getting used to just adapting whatever they throw out. So I think if you speak to anyone else in either the sport, they're like, your sport's crazy because how can it change so often? So yeah, you kind of just get used to the changes, and when they announce them, you're like, okay, cool, that's the new format, and then let's crack on. But I really enjoyed the format for the national champs. I think it was a good way of getting the sport out there to a wider audience and getting more people at the games. But then again, there was something pretty unique about having the top sort of 40 at the games and having the fittest there. So yeah, I like the changes, and there's nothing you can do personally about them. So you just got to kind of adapt with it and move with the changes. But yeah, I'm definitely excited for this season. I'd probably say a little bit more because there is less pressure on the Open for me. And I can enjoy it a little bit more and get through the stages. And then hopefully in the semi-final stages, we're going to be able to have some crowd at the events, because that would be such a game changer. I think regionals 2018 was amazing because there was so many spectators there, and the atmosphere was insane. And yeah, I've never been to a competition like it. So if that could be replicated for the semi-finals in May, June, that would be something special. But yeah, if there's going to be no crowd there again, it's going to be very strange.
That's
competing.
Rough. Yeah, I think we're all ready to get back into that environment where we can have a crowd and be excited to watch all the competitors out on the floor. I think we've all been missing that over the last year.
Yeah, and I'm definitely an athlete that thrives off that atmosphere and really enjoy being in front of a crowd and meeting all the fans. So yeah, for me, that's something that's very special to me, and I really like that part of competing. So fingers crossed we can get to that stage by May, June, but you never know what's going on at the minute.
Sure. So, you are last year in the title of Fittest in the UK, but I know you have an amazing story of transformation and weren't always the fittest growing up. So can you share with us a little bit about your story and what your life was like when you were growing up?
Yeah, so I was probably the complete opposite to what I am now. And anyone who knew me when I was a kid would never believe what I've achieved, because probably up to the age of maybe 13, 14, I'd say. I was a very overweight kid, didn't like exercise. My parents would try and get me go for walks or runs. I just hated it. I ate junk food and takeaway food probably 5 times a week, bags of sweets and chocolate every single day. And I was just a kid that loved eating and didn't really enjoy exercising.
Yeah.
And I remember I loved playing sport, and I was always a sporty kid. So if you put me on a rugby pitch, I would love playing that sport and I'd enjoy every minute of it. But then as soon as I'd finished that, I didn't want to do any activity whatsoever. So I was always a sporty kid, and I like playing sport, but the activity and training side, I used to hate. Okay. And I think it all stems from like going back years and years. When my mum had my sister, there's a 7-year gap between me and my sister. And my mum wanted a massive family. So she wanted probably 6 to 9 children. She always wanted a really, really big family. And she had my sister. That was her first one. And then she had 7 miscarriages between my sister and myself. So when I came along, it was kind of like a miracle that she could have another child.
Yeah.
So she kind of wrapped me in cotton wool so much that if I wanted some chocolate, she'd give me some chocolate, or if I wanted some sweets, she'd give me some sweets. And it's only because she loved me so much, she's so grateful that she could have another child. But obviously, in hindsight, it probably wasn't the best thing for me because I was just putting on weight and weight and weight. But yeah, I think that's where it all stems from. There's a lot of memories of me and my mum just pigging out over the weekends, like 3 days straight of just having ridiculous amounts of crisps and fizzy drinks. And there's memories I'll never forget, and I'd never change it for the world. But it definitely wasn't good for my physique or confidence or anything like that. So yeah, I was a very overweight kid. I didn't like taking the top off. I was very self-conscious. So I'd always try and skip swimming lessons at school or pretend I was ill so I didn't have to take my top off to go to the swimming lessons. Which is very different now to living with my top off pretty much 24/7.
Yeah. Do you remember, as a child, like any first memories of when you started to be aware of your weight or started to become self-conscious about it?
Yeah, there's two kind of real big moments that always stick in my mind when I was growing up. One was always making an excuse for the swimming lessons and not swimming at school. That was one that was always very vivid because it used to be like a weekly occurrence, and I always remember trying to think of a new excuse why I couldn't go to school that day. So that was one that really stuck. And another time was when I was sitting downstairs in our old house. It was me, mum, and dad, and my sister. And I was sitting there, didn't have a top off because I was okay around my family. And my parents' friends just pulled up in the drive. I could see him pull up. So I went to quickly run upstairs so they didn't see me with my top off. And I remember my dad saying, "Don't go upstairs. You shouldn't be ashamed of your body. Just come and just relax how you are.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I started crying and mum was like, just let him go. So I ran upstairs, got a top on, and then came down. So that was another kind of very vivid moment of being very self-conscious of how I looked.
Wow.
But
and yeah, at what point then did you said you loved playing sports but didn't love exercising so much. At what point did you start to decide or start to take action in changing some of your habits so that you could lose weight?
Yeah, so it happened around, I think I was about 13, 14. And to my knowledge, this was the first time that my dad had tried to make me lose weight. But from speaking to him when I got older, this was probably like the 6th or 7th attempt that he tried, but the other attempts just weren't working, but I can't remember them. But yeah.
So lesson to those listening, don't give up. To be persistent, no matter how many tries it takes.
Yeah, it's quite funny because to me, this is the first thing that I can remember, but my dad was like, there was probably 6 or 7 times before that where I completely have no idea or can't remember those attempts at all. But it was when the PlayStation 2 came out, I really wanted a PS2, and my dad was like, right, I'll make you a deal. I'll get you the PlayStation 2 if you try and eat a little bit better, try and exercise a bit more, which in return will lose some weight. And I was like, oh yeah, great, like that's an amazing deal. I'll just stop eating so much junk in the week and hopefully that'll work. Not really knowing what I was doing or how to lose weight because I was a young kid. And I remember mum was kind of stressing out because she didn't want to put pressure on me and she loved the way I was. So there's a bit of conflict between my mum being so loving and then my dad just being a realist. So I basically, instead of having 5 McDonald's a week, I only had 3, or instead of having a bag of sweets every day, I'd probably only have them 2 or 3 times a week. And it was the first time, without me even knowing, I was kind of goal setting. So we had a goal. The reward was the PlayStation 2, and then I worked hard for a month to be able to achieve that goal, and then we achieved it. So at the end of the 4 weeks or maybe 6 weeks, we had some measurements. I'd lost some weight, and that was a really good feeling for me. I felt amazing. I could tell my body shape was changing as well. It was a very quick change at that point because I was quite overweight. It was quite a drastic change for the first 6 to 8 weeks. And all my clothes were getting too big for me and I felt really good about it. So I went with my dad. I'll never forget, we bought the PlayStation 2, bought me a few games. And he was like, I think you should try and carry it on. And because how happy it made me feel, I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to do that, Dad, because I feel really good from doing this. And then about 6 months later, we went to a Anthony Robbins seminar. I don't know if you know too much of his stuff.
Yes, but, I've been to his seminar. It was, oh my gosh, it was amazing.
Yeah. Oh, wicked. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. The Unleash the Power Within.
That's the one.
Yes. Yeah. I did that actually right before, in 2015, right before the Open, and it had such a huge impact on me for that season.
Yeah, it's amazing. So obviously it's all about like your mental outlook on things and nutrition, health and positive thinking and things like that. So it was a really good weekend for me. I think it was over 3 days. And then did you do the hot coal walking as well?
The fire walk, yes.
Yeah. So
that was amazing.
The whole weekend kind of builds you up to kind of mentally walk over these hot coals and block out the heat pain and things like that. So that was a really good uplifting experience for us as a family. And that was the second big change for me, because after that I wanted to get in really good shape health-wise and mentally, just to be a better person, the best version I could be. And I didn't really need any other external source to want to achieve that. So I didn't need someone to say, I'll buy you this if you do this, or you'll get this if you do this. It was the first time where I just wanted to be in the best shape for me, and so I could have the best life I could possibly have. So I definitely remember that weekend was definitely a life-changing experience for us as a family.
That's amazing. Wow, that's so cool that you did that. I always remember that fire walk, and just the idea of being in such a mental state that you have total confidence in yourself and you don't have any doubt or any fear. It's such a good exercise to go through in anything that you're trying to accomplish in life.
Yeah, and it's quite hard to explain to people if they don't know about the course or they don't know about Anthony Robinson, because they're just like, what? You just walked over hot coals at the end of the weekend? It's like, what was that?
What?
But
go
it was so
experience it.
motivational and so like empowering. It was definitely an amazing weekend.
So many great lessons. So yeah, so then how did that that carry you through and continue? And then how did you talked a little bit about some of the changes that you made with your nutrition, but how did your exercise start to change as well?
Yeah, so I think I just started to basically, I think like every teenage kid starts out when they want to train. They just look on YouTube and just want to do bicep curls and bench press and that sort of thing. So it was very sort of basic. I was doing a lot of bodyweight exercise. I remember I was just making up circuits on my own with press ups and squats and sit ups and thinking doing 1,000 sit ups is going to get me a really good stomach. And yeah, just all the mistakes you make as a young teenager getting into fitness. But I remember I really stuck with our nutrition. So the whole family made a big change after that weekend, which made it really easy for me as well, because we didn't have chocolate and sweets in the house. We didn't have crisps in the house. So if it wasn't in the house, then I'm not going to have it. I couldn't drive then. I was too young. So it made it so easy as a family to do that nutrition change. And that was a big thing for me as well, because we're all doing it together. So if there was a point where I fancied some chocolate, my parents were like, no, come on, let's stick with it. Or if my mum fancied some chocolate, I would encourage her to say, come on, stick with it. We're all doing this together. So I remember doing that for probably a couple of years. The weight just dropped off. And going into my kind of 15, 16 years, because the weight was dropping off, I was really like growing into my body as a sportsman. So I was captain of the rugby team at school. I played lots of different sports for my county. And I was really kind of, there's a big shift from being the overweight kid to now being the sporty kid in the school. So it was a period of kind of 3 or 4 years of that changing. And from 16 to 18, those last 2 years at school, I was known as like the fitness kid. So I was the one who would never have any chocolate sweets and always watching his diet. So there was a nice change over that kind of between 13 and 18 period of being the one that some people would take the mick of and call me names, compared to 5 years later being the kid that everyone wants to try and beat or wants to try and compete with.
That's incredible. And I have to imagine that had a huge impact just on your self-confidence, and it trickled into other areas of your life as well.
Yeah, massively, because there'd be points where when I was younger and overweight, I didn't want to go to a friend's house because they might take the tops off and do something, or they might go to a pool, or so there's so many different things where you don't really realize you say no to because you're ashamed of how you look. And being that young and that at the age of kind of 13, 14, you don't really realize the effect it's having on you. You're just kind of getting on with your life and you think that's normal, but deep down you're probably quite unhappy, and you're saying a no to a lot of situations because of how you feel about yourself. So from going from that to then being known as the sportiest kid in the school, and the guy who's starting to get like a really good body and being more confident in yourself, definitely a great feeling, and something that really kind of motivated me to keep it going.
That's amazing. And I love how you said too, the impact that it made when your whole family made these changes together, and just how important our environment is, how we all are human. And so whatever was around us and what we're exposed to is what's going to become our normal. And so it's something we can all take into consideration, whether it's where we work or our homes, how we can try to make it easy to make the right healthy decisions for ourselves and the people around us. Is so
massively. I think that's why CrossFit is such an amazing thing, because the community at the CrossFit boxes, I probably wouldn't have stuck with the sport if the community wasn't such an amazing thing, because that's what kept me going back every single day to the gym, because I just want to socialize with my friends and also get an awesome workout. So it's definitely one of the key things that I always say to people is your environment and the people you surround yourself with is so important. And if you've got certain goals that you want to hit, you need to be around people that want to see you succeed, because it makes such a big difference being around those sort of people.
Totally. So you went from, like you said, being the overweight kid, not having a lot of self-confidence, into being the sporty kid who everybody sort of looked up to as the picture of fitness and health in high school. But then at some point you decided, hey, I love this so much, I want to help other people with their fitness. And you decided to become a personal trainer. Can you talk about why you made that decision?
Yeah, so from the age of, like I said, probably 16 to 18, that was the period where I thought I was going to be a professional rugby player. That was my passion at the time. I was on the right course. Like I said, playing for my county. I had trials at Tigers Academy, which is a really good rugby team here in England. So that's the direction I thought I was going to go, just naturally lead into being a professional rugby player.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I had lots of different ankle issues, which had to stop me playing rugby. So from the age of 18, thinking you're going to be a professional rugby player, to then someone saying you can't play anymore, it's kind of a weird situation to be in when that's all you thought you're going to do.
Yeah.
So I knew I didn't want to go to university. That wouldn't be something that I don't think that was going to suit me. Mm-hmm. So I've always loved fitness, especially in like the years leading up to this time. I've been through a transformation myself, so I know how it feels to be an overweight person, then wanting to lose the weight and going through that journey. Mm-hmm. So to me, it was kind of a natural thing to go into and be a personal trainer. Mm-hmm. So I left school straight away at the age of 18, did a PT course within a year. And then I was working in a fitness gym from the age of 19 to about 22, 23. Mm-hmm. Absolutely loved it. Taught lots of different fitness classes, did several PTs each day. Had a great crew of people at the gym that I used to love working with, and used to love all the members. And I think my dad has always been a really good businessman, so I've never been one to kind of settle in what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So even though it was a great experience, I absolutely loved it, I wanted more from this as being a PT. Mm-hmm. So from there, I decided to open my own PT studio just in the back of my parents' garden. Mm-hmm. Ended up leaving the gym and doing my PT just from home, and started doing functional style classes. Mm-hmm. So they were probably CrossFit based without me even knowing what CrossFit was. Right. And it was all based around kettlebells and bodyweight training in like a CrossFit style format. Mm-hmm. And we used to teach one of those every day, 6 days a week. And some of the classes would have 50 people in. Wow. And it was we kind of built like a really good community of people who would travel around Leicester doing the different classes. And it was literally like a CrossFit style environment and unique way of community without me even knowing it. And I ran that for maybe 5 years. And that was a really good experience. And that was kind of my first experience of running a business and being totally kind of self-dependent on myself and not working for anyone. Mm-hmm. And then I found CrossFit in 2013. So I was watching just the YouTube video of the games. Mm-hmm. And my dad showed me it, and he was like, "Oh, I think you'd be quite good at this because you've always had that competitive edge. You've always been fit and naturally strong. Mm-hmm. It'd just be the gymnastic elements that you've got to really nail down." So he showed me it, and I just remember being addicted to watching every CrossFit video on YouTube there possibly was. And as soon as I watched it, I was like, my goal is now get to the games. It was like I've been waiting to find a sport that I could use my fitness for. Mm-hmm. But before, I just didn't know CrossFit existed.
That's amazing. So, and so amazing to go from someone who didn't really like the fitness conditioning part, just liked the sport part, and now you're actually doing exercise as your sport.
It's just a weird turnaround of life.
Yeah. That's amazing. Okay, so you sort of fall in love with CrossFit. You decide this is what I want to do. How do you approach that? Like, what were the steps that you took in order to be able to start entering in as a competitor?
Yeah, I remember when I first started CrossFit, it was so overwhelming because I was like, God, there's so many moves I've got to get good at, and I just don't know how I'm going to get good at so many movements. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people are in that situation where they watch a YouTube video or they watch a Netflix documentary of the sport, and they come in, they're like, I want to come to the games next year. And it's like, oh, I love your enthusiasm, but it's going to take a lot of work to get to the games, and only a small percent of people actually make it to the games. Yeah. But I was one of those when I watched it. I was like, oh, I want to get to the games next year. And I remember the nearest CrossFit box to me at the time, was in Northampton, which was about a 50-minute drive away.
Mm-hmm.
So I went there twice a week. I think I did one class and then a PT session with the coach there.
Mm-hmm.
And he could see I had potential because I was naturally strong. And again, I was very fit from all the classes that I taught.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the gymnastics that I was going to struggle with because I was a heavy athlete.
Mm-hmm.
That just didn't come naturally to me. And I think within about 2 months, I entered in my first CrossFit competition.
Wow.
And I think because I'd missed that competitive edge so much, and I found something that I could compete in, I just wanted to compete like as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the coach saying, "Do you want to do RX or scale?" I said, "No, I definitely want to do RX. I think I can do RX."
Yeah.
So I remember going into that weekend, I was absolutely petrified. I loved every minute of it, but I probably came last or near bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed the whole experience, and it was such an eye opener to what level athletes are,
mm-hmm.
and how good they are at certain aspects and how long they've done it. And I think that really made me realize that I've got to dedicate a lot of time at this to be able to get to a level that I want to get to. It's not just going to happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And also around that time when I just found CrossFit, we opened a commercial gym in 2014. So from teaching all the fitness classes and building a good membership base from that, me and my other 3 business partners opened a commercial gym. And that was a great time because I thought, right, this is great. I can train twice a day like the pros do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just going to be amazing. It's going to make me such a better athlete. And we opened it in 2014, and it was the hardest 3 years I've probably ever had in my life because we were working 12-hour days to try and keep the overheads down so we didn't have to employ so many staff. Then I was still trying to train twice a day, thinking I was a professional.
Yeah.
And so I was progressing, but extremely slowly because I was just doing too many things at once.
Yeah.
And we had that gym for 3 years, and it got to a point where it wasn't making enough money to pay all of us. I really wanted to open a CrossFit box.
Mm-hmm.
So all 3 of us went to go our separate ways. So I owned it with my sister and then 2 other business partners. Obviously, my sister still in contact, but we don't speak to the other 2 business partners that often anymore. But yeah, we all came to a mutual decision that we need to kind of split ways because it's taken so much time from our life to try and keep this gym running for not much reward.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a 3-year period of me getting better at CrossFit, but really not unleashing my full potential because I was too exhausted from working. I was overtraining, I was inexperienced. And then in 2017, I opened CrossFit BFG.
Okay.
And that was the time where my kind of athlete career really progressed because that was a year where I could just coach 2 classes a day and then focus on really good quality training twice a day and focus on recovery and getting enough sleep and make sure I'm eating enough. And that was the year where I really progressed and obviously led on to me qualifying for regionals. So yeah, it was definitely a really good decision to open in my own box.
That's amazing. And during that time, what approach did you take with your training, or what people or tools did you use to help structure? Like, did you have a coach? Did you follow a certain training plan or programming, or how did you make sure that you were using your time of training efficiently to get you where you wanted to go?
Yeah, so for me, I think that's quite an unusual aspect as well because I coach myself and program myself. So I have about.
Well, I guess not that unusual for men. I feel like there's a lot of men who take that approach.
Oh, is there?
Or at least there used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have kind of 3 or 4 people around me that are all like weightlifting coaches and gymnastic coaches that are always constantly tweaking my technique or telling me if I'm doing things wrong, which is really helpful. But I've always loved the aspect of programming for myself, and it's something that I've always really enjoyed. And I think starting as an athlete, I very quickly knew that, like I said, my gymnastics is my main area that I need to work on because I'm a big dude. I'm 100 kilos, and that's going to be hard trying to throw that around the rings and around the rig compared to like the athletes that are 85, 90 kilos. So
yeah,
it's always something that's been very heavily focused in my training, and I've always had an approach of for me, 40% fitness, 40% gymnastics, 20% lifting. And it's served me well, and it's something that I've worked on a lot over the years, and I now consider my gymnastics to be a strength of mine amongst the athletes, even though I'm still a fairly decent size compared to most of the athletes. And I think it just comes down to knowing what athlete you are, and every athlete's completely different. Some athletes really have to focus on strength because they're naturally not as strong, and their gymnastics comes easy to them. Whereas me, my strength is always there, and I knew if I just get better technique on the barbell and get more mobile, then my lifts are going to be a lot higher. I don't really have to focus too much on the strength block for myself. It's more just getting that gymnastic volume and getting that conditioning to where I want it to be.
Yeah, so just being aware of your weaknesses and really focusing on those has taken you a long way. You talked a little bit earlier about what it was like to compete at regionals in 2018 and just the crowd and being in that competitive environment. Coming away from that season, how did that feel you for 2019 and 2020?
Yeah, so in 2018, that was my first kind of big accomplishment that I've achieved in the sport. It was a really big thing for me to qualify for regionals. And that regionals 2018 was a very much of a celebration event for me. It was a combination of a lot of hard work, and I had all my friends and family there, and it was just a great weekend. I loved every second of it. And I wouldn't change anything for the world for that weekend. I didn't take it as seriously as I should have, but I was just taking in all the atmosphere, taking in the crowd, loving every event. I was never really stressed out because I was there just to enjoy myself, because it's been a dream to compete at regional. So.
And I know that Europe region is always electric. I wasn't there in 2018. I went in 2017 to watch, and the crowd and just having so many countries in one arena at the same time it's really amazing.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember how many people were there. I think the stadium held about between 3,000 and 4,000 people, and I remember people couldn't find seats. They had to just sit on stairs and stand around because it was that busy. So yeah, it was such an electric atmosphere, and I'm so glad that I wasn't so stressed and wrapped up in the event that I missed all of the atmosphere. So I was really happy how I approached it, and I remember finishing that event and being like, right, that's the last event that I'm probably just gonna go to enjoy. Now every event I want to go to, I want to go there to win. I'm going to take it extremely seriously. So it was a great experience, man. I learned so much from regionals as an athlete, on pacing and how to recover between events. And I was a bit lost at that time. I was just kind of going with the flow and just doing the events and then kind of doing whatever in between. I saw how seriously the athletes took recovery and all different aspects of nutrition and their sleep. And so I learned a lot from that weekend. And then going in 2019, that was my first year where I really felt confident that I can qualify for the games. And I mentally felt really strongly about that. I was confident in myself. I was confident in how my training's been going. Going into that season, I was very excited. And I remember the Open started. I think I had a good start. I can't remember what the first two workouts were. I think the first one was rowing and wall wars, 19.1. And then the second one was a lifting workout, I think. So I had a good start. I was third and first in the UK. So really good start to the Open. I was sitting in first after the first two events. And then 19.3 came out, which I think was the strict handstand press-up one.
Yes. I remember that one. Oh.
Yeah. And I saw that and was like, right, okay, I don't really do that many strict handstand press-ups. I was doing so much kipping.
Yeah.
Just because it's always been kipping handstand press-ups in the Open. So that was just an error on my part on my program that I'd not put those in. And I remember just doing the workout for the first time, and probably about 15 people in my gym beat me who don't take CrossFit seriously.
Yeah.
But they're just good at strict handstand press-ups.
Yeah.
It was a workout where it was lunges, box step-ups. So everyone was getting to the wall at the same time pretty much. It didn't separate anyone.
Yeah, it all came down to those handstand push-ups.
Yeah, and then everyone was banging them out, and I was still there, 25 to go.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is going on here? I don't know what's happening. So then I did that workout on the Friday, and I thought, right, this is going to be the workout where I need to just hold my own to basically still qualify for the games. And I did that workout 5 times over the weekend. Every time I got a worse score as well, but I just kept trying.
Another
and
lesson
trying.
there.
Yeah. And I was like, right, like that literally cost me my game spot. And my open scores that year, I think it was 4th, 1st, 168th, 1st, 2nd.
Oh gosh!
So it was literally that one workout. But that's why CrossFit's such a great sport, because you can't have any weaknesses, otherwise you're going to be exposed, especially something like the Open. So I remember the 90.3 is finished, and submit my score, and obviously straight away I knew my chances of the games were gone. But I still wanted to finish the Open strong, and just to let my competitors know that it was just that one movement that cost me the games, not a multiple of movements, or I didn't just quit just because I had a bad week. So the next week I came back and got 1st place in the UK, and then the last week I got 2nd. So I felt quite proud about that, because I think it could have been very easy to have just canned the Open off.
Kind of give up,
because there's no, I can't get anything else from the Open now because I'm too low on the leaderboard. But I still wanted to show that it was just that one movement that's cost me that spot. Still finished strong.
Yeah. And I can relate to that, because for me it was parallel handstand push-ups at the games in 2012, and it's so frustrating in the moment when you know you're so prepared in all these areas, but you have this one hole that's going to cost you big time. But it's also in those moments that you, I think, learn and grow the most. So obviously that had to have been crushing that year, feeling so ready and prepared to qualify for the games. But how did you then take that sort of failure and use it to fuel you for your 2020 season, which was your best yet?
Yeah, so I kind of became obsessed with strict handstand press-ups, and I picked probably about 4 people in my gym that are a lot smaller than me, a lot lighter than me, and they were a lot better at strict handstand press-ups. And I was like, right, within a year, 2 years, I want to be better than all of you at strict handstand press-ups. And obviously they want to see me succeed as well. So they're like, right, okay, we'll have a little race continuously, who can get better at strict handstand press-ups. And obviously at the start, they were way ahead of me. I think my 50 for time back then was about 5 minutes, 10 seconds.
Okay.
So super slow. And then a couple of months back, we did 100 for time, and I finished in 5:26.
Wow, look at that improvement.
Huge improvement. And I beat all those lads that we kind of had a bet with. So kind of came an obsession of just doing them 3 or 4 times a week in all different types of formats, along with kipping handstand press-ups, deficit ones, and just really making sure that's never going to be a weakness ever again. And we hammered them continuously. And I remember my training partners were like, right, we're just going to finish with some handstand press-ups. Like, what? Not again? Like, we just did them like 3 days ago. I was like, I don't care. We're doing them again.
Yeah.
So it got to the point where they're like, come on, Zach, you don't need to be doing this many. I was like, I do. I need to get better at this movement.
Yeah.
And so my times really increased. I think my 50 for time now is about 1:20, 1:15.
Okay.
So
wow.
It's never going to be as good as like the athletes who are good at handstand press-ups are a lot smaller. But I think for my size and weight, that's quite a good area to be
impressive.
With the handstand press-ups. And so going into 2020, I didn't really feel like I had any weaknesses that could come up. There's certain movements that still I can never do just because my ankle issues. Things like rebound box jumps, I'd never go to do them. And obviously you had your injuries with those bad experiences.
Gosh darn those box jumps.
Yeah.
So what do you do when that comes up? I mean, how do you handle that? Because obviously that's, for me, I never had that was at the end of my competition career, and now I don't really ever do rebounding. But if you're in a competition, that cycling time makes a huge difference. So how do you approach that?
I just step, because the risk of injury for me with my ankles is just too high to warrant kind of pushing and risking that. So I'll just try and make that time up somewhere else in the workout. So yeah, I just jump up and have to step down. And yeah, it's something that I'd never really risk, I don't think. So yeah, so 2020 came up, feeling really good. A good start to the Open. I think I won the first one, and then maybe second in the UK in the second one. And then I think it was the third one. It was deadlifts and handstand press-ups.
Yeah, your revenge.
Yeah, so I was like, I wanted the handstand presses to come up so badly.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want all that work to come up, and I couldn't show for it. So when that came up, I was like, yes, like I'm so happy that came up. And I know my competitors were like, right, this is the one where Zach's going to fall off. And I did that workout and I won that by maybe like 10, 15 seconds in the UK.
Wow.
And that was such a big achievement for me because my competitors were thinking that's the workout where he's going to slip. And then I've managed to win it in the UK. And that just shows how much hard work I've put into handstand press-ups over the last 2 years. So for me to have him win that workout, that is one of my kind of best achievements that I think I could say in my career, because it was a real kind of solidification that all my hard work, my program that I've done on this movement has paid off, and I've got a reward for it.
That's amazing. And to know it's those, those little decisions that you make every day, like you said, at the end of a training session saying, nope, we're going to do a few more handstand push-ups today over the course of a year, and how that adds up to have this huge impact in the outcome. And I think it's easy for people to make excuses in the day or kind of let things slip or say like, oh, we just did them 3 days ago, I don't need to repeat them. But when you make those decisions to really focus and stay disciplined over the course of a year, you can see the results speak for themselves.
Yeah, massively. I know my training partners at the end of that, they're like, oh, that's why you're doing them so often then.
Oh, now it makes sense.
Yeah. So
he's onto something.
Yeah. So that was a really good that was a really good week for me. And then it was a strong finish again. I think week 4 was the heavy barbell with box jumps. So again, I knew for me it wasn't so crucial to rebound during that workout because the barbell got really heavy. So I knew I wasn't going to lose too much time on that aspect because I could throw the barbell around probably faster than most of the people. So again, that was a strong week. And then week 5 was extremely stressful with you could split the work up however you want, because that just promotes you having to try the workout so many times in so many different ways. And it was just so stressful. So yeah, I did that workout. I think I did it 3 or 4 times, just trying different methods. And I think I only finished the workout twice because 2 of the attempts were just way off the pace and it was the wrong strategy. So yeah, that was a real kind of, it was a good test and I enjoyed the way they did it, but it did promote you having to try the workout so many times to find the best way to do it.
Yeah, lots of ways to strategize.
Yeah, but then the last workout I did was my fastest time, so we managed to nail down the best way I could possibly do it. And ended up winning the Open by 1 point. It was a close race all the way to the end.
That's amazing. And how did it feel then, finally, after so many years and having so many obstacles in your way, to know that you qualified for the CrossFit Games?
It was kind of it was a really weird feeling because the Open it's such a stressful 5 weeks, and you're at the peak of your ability for 5 weeks, and you're so dialed in, and then at the end of 5 weeks to see you at the top of the leaderboard, but then you still got to wait a month, 2 months before CrossFit verify it.
And it's very nerve-wracking.
Yeah, massively. So you don't want to celebrate then, because all it takes is you got 3 no reps and then you can drop down the leaderboard. So I remember 2020, I think there's quite a few athletes that just dropped down the leaderboard because of small errors they were making, or just a slight not lockout on a thruster, or so it was such a nerve-wracking wait, because I didn't want to, even though I was at top, I didn't want to celebrate. I didn't want to kind of jinx anything. So I just kind of carried on as normal. Just kind of in that evening, I was like, right, I'm top of the leaderboard. Everyone was going mental around me. But I was like, right, I'm not going to celebrate. I'm not going to get carried away. I'm just going to have a rest and crack on with training. And then when we actually get like that email saying you've qualified for the games, that's when I'll be happy and I'll feel relieved.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of 2 months goes by, and by that point, you're kind of already gearing up for the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was happened 2 months ago, and you've kind of not forgotten about it, but it's in the past now. And then you get the email saying you've qualified for the games. And I remember just getting it on my phone. I was at home on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, cool, I've got the email. And it's like, that was it.
It's real.
Yeah.
All right, time to go train again.
Yeah, but that was it. And then just went back into the gym, told all my friends and family. We went out for like a celebratory meal, and then just cracked on with my normal training. So it was I think getting a game spot at an event and being announced at an event like regionals is a whole different level of like energy and atmosphere and like self-achievement compared to, I think, winning the Open. Because like I said, there's that delayed time of actually getting verified and then watching the videos, and then you just get your email. So I was extremely happy and proud of what I've achieved, but by the point I got the email, I was already kind of focused on the next stage of getting ready for the games.
Yeah, and then, of course, last season we had a pandemic, everything changed, and you ended up, because of the way that the format changed with the pandemic and not being able to travel, you ended up not even being able to compete at the games. So, I mean, that had to have been, a huge high to know you qualified, and then also a low to say, gosh, I can't even go and compete at the games like I anticipated. So what was last year like for you?
Yes, I think we first went into lockdown in March. And I remember when it first happened, I think everyone, or especially the people around me, would be like, right, we don't really know what this is, but it's going to be a couple of weeks and then we're just going to be back to normal. Because, we just didn't know what it was at the time. And I remember closing the gym, and a month went by, 2 months went by, and I was thinking, right, this is probably going to affect the games, because this is going to be a lot longer than what we all anticipated it was going to be. So mentally, I was already kind of said to myself, like, the games is probably going to change, but I just thought there'd be no spectators. I still thought I'd still be able to compete. And I think the first announcement they made was that it was going to be no spectator event. So it was going to be the same amount of athletes, just no spectators. And for me, obviously still competing would have been good, but the main thing for me being at the games is enjoying it with my family and my friends, and having all the people that have worked with me and been there to support me through my whole 7-year journey. I want to share it with them, and I want them to be there. So straight away, when they announced there's going to be no spectators, that was already a massive thing for me, because I want to be there with my close family and friends. And then they said they were not going to take the national champ spots, which obviously that was my ticket to the games. But then I also qualified top 30 in the world. So I was like, right, okay, hopefully they take the top 30 and then I'm still good. And then they ended up only taking the top 20. And then I think I was about, when people declined spots, I think I was 2 spots out. So even then, it only took 2 people not to be able to travel or get injured, and then I'd still get a call up. So I didn't actually know 100% I wasn't going to the games till pretty late on. There's always that little bit of hope that we're hanging on to. But I just took the attitude that it's totally out of our control. There's a lot of people worse off than I am just not being able to go to the games. Obviously, people losing jobs, losing their lives with the pandemic. So there's a lot more people that are worse off than I am. And I just chose to dive my energy into something else. So being an athlete, obviously your main focus is constantly trying to be the best athlete you can be. Whereas this gave me a big off season to be able to kind of dive into a lot of work, a lot of social media stuff. I wrote a book. So I kind of tried to channel that energy and not make it a negative thing and turn it into a positive thing. And we've achieved a lot in the last year that we probably wouldn't have if we went to the games. So it's just turning that negative situation to a positive.
That's great perspective. Really great perspective. And I know another thing that you really are intentional about and that you love doing is helping other people achieve their goals with your gym and your affiliate. And you really try to make a positive environment for them, and talk about, the quote of having the best hour of your day when someone walks into your gym. What are some of the ways that you do that, and why is that something that's important to you?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that we really make a big conscious effort at our gym, because that's one of the main reasons people come back to the gym. And it's great that we have so many times where people have had a bad day at work and they come in, you can see they're a bit down, or they're a bit stressed because they've had such a stressed day at work. And then an hour and a half later, they're a completely different person. And they walk out of the gym absolutely buzzing and having a great workout and having a great laugh with all the friends at the box. And that's something that I love to see, is just seeing how we can have such a great impact on someone's day when most of that day they've been stressed out and it's not been a good day. So yeah, I love seeing that. And I think it just comes down to just, again, the community and the environment that we've created. When people walk into that door, they just instantly smile because they're seeing their friends and their family, and it's their social life. And there's so many people that they say when they walk into the gym, they're a different person, because they become more like a child, because they have fun, they're messing around, they're getting a really good workout, but they're just having a great time with their close friends. And to create a space where people can feel that every single day, that's an amazing achievement. That's something that I've always wanted to achieve. And it's the main reason that I created a CrossFit box. Is when I was getting into fitness, I would have loved to have a place like that where you could just go in, totally be yourself 100%, not feel self-conscious, not be worried about if I'm only doing pull-ups, but the person next to me doing ring muscle-ups. Doesn't matter what level you're at, you can come in, have a great workout, and then enjoy having a social aspect as well. And yeah, I think that's what's so special about CrossFit boxes and the community.
Oh, absolutely. And I know something that we all have been missing and hoping, for me, I've just started going back to an affiliate and just realizing how much I miss that aspect of just the environment, being around people, and how big of a difference that makes.
Yeah.
Like you said, you can walk in one way and you walk out just in a completely different mood. And so
yeah,
that's really special. What are some of the ways that CrossFit has helped? I mean, you obviously have an incredible attitude and work ethic and ability to sort of, like you said, turn negative into positive and keep moving forward. What are some of the ways that you think CrossFit has helped you grow as a person?
I think it's definitely made me a lot mentally stronger, because obviously, training as a CrossFit athlete, you've got to put yourself in some dark situations several times a week. And that's something that doesn't come naturally. You don't just walk into a gym and enjoy putting yourself in a hole and having the ability to push through all the negative thoughts you have during a workout. It's something that you develop over time, and it's something that your body develops just from being in that situation over and over again. And it builds a real good resilience and determination. I think that's what you can transfer over into everyday life. The ability of just being resilient and not giving in too early and not getting troubled by certain obstacles that might come up in life. It really gives you the tools to look at the situation, kind of realize what's going on, and then build a plan to overcome it. And that's pretty much what we do in the gym. We devise a plan of where your weaknesses are, where your strengths are. You put that plan in motion. You attack it for months and months and months, and at the end of the cycle, you're going to be better in certain areas. And that same model you can transfer into any aspect of your life. And that's taught me a lot within CrossFit.
And you mentioned this year you wrote a book. I know it's coming out soon. And the book is called Start Where Others Stop. And I know this is a mantra that you use a lot yourself. Can you explain for us what that means to you?
Yeah, so start where others stop. It means it doesn't matter what age you are, what gender you are, what size you are. If you want to start your fitness journey or any journey in your life, it's never too late to start that journey. And it's a book about a lot about my experience of growing up and what I've been through as a kid. Because, like I said, a lot of people who know me now would never believe what I've been through as a kid. They just would assume that I've always been naturally in great shape and always been happy how I look. So it's a lot about my past and growing up, but then it's a lot about giving people the tools to to goal set, to achieve goals that they want to achieve, and not be scared of aiming high. I think, like you said before, it's really important to surround yourself with such positive and great people that if you set yourself a goal, they want to see you achieve that goal. They're not going to say, Zach, you're aiming too high, maybe aim a little bit lower. They want to see you get the highest possible achievement they can. And yeah, starting where the stop is, if you're middle-aged and you're overweight and you're thinking, oh, I'm too old. You hear it a lot. People saying, I'm too old to lose weight. I'm too old to start CrossFit, or I'm too old to start the gym. It's kind of trying to throw that mentality out the window. And doesn't matter what age you are, like I said, what weight you are, you can always start that fitness journey. And everyone's fitness journey is going to be totally different. Someone's going to achieve their fitness journey a lot quicker or a lot slower than what you might. But you've got to understand everyone's got their own journey. Everyone will achieve goals in their own time. As long as you're consistent, resilient, and determined to achieve that goal, then you will achieve it. And it's never too late to start that journey.
That's amazing. And you are definitely a living example of it. So I'm excited for the book to come out and people to continue to learn from you and be inspired by you.
Thank you.
As we start to wrap up, first, could you take us through what a typical day in your life looks like right now as you're, about to start the open, you're in training mode? What does a typical day look like in your life?
For me, like I said, because the open stage is very different now, so you just got to get top 10%. My week's pretty much the same as it would have been. So I'll go to the gym for 10:30. In the morning, it's always a condition-based workout. And that conditioning base will vary from sprint intervals to lactate threshold to competition stimulation WODs. So it varies during the week, but the morning is always a conditioning base for about hour and a half, and then mobility and stretching after that. I'll get back home and then I'll do any sort of program I need to do for clients, have check-ins with them and monitor their videos, any sort of calls, anything like that. I'll normally get them in between 1 and about 4. So that's a window where I try and get as much work done as possible. Now we're leading up to the open, I'll always make sure I get about a 20-minute nap at some point, just to kind of feel more energized for the second session. And then I'll go back to the gym for 5 o'clock. That will always be weightlifting gymnastics. Normally lasts for about an hour and a half, and then half an hour of mobility again. And then get home and dinner. So that's pretty much my everyday routine. Wednesdays, the only days that are different if we weren't in a pandemic, because that's when I'd have my swimming session. But like the pools have been closed for forever now. So it's been a long time since I've been in a pool, which is not good.
Oh, that's rough. I didn't realize that. That makes it really hard.
Yeah.
Gosh. Okay. And then there's 3 questions I ask everyone at the end of the podcast. The first are, what are the 3 things that you do on a regular basis that have the biggest positive impact on your health?
Yeah, I think for me, sleep is a massive important thing for me. So I can tell a massive difference on training and my everyday energy if I don't get my 8 to 9 hours of sleep a day. And that's such a big thing for me. I feel as an athlete is getting enough sleep. Secondly, it would be mobility and recovery. So again, I can tell massively if I get lazy with my mobility and stretching, I'll start to get little niggles. I'll start to get tendinitis come back in certain areas. And that really makes a big effect on my everyday life, but then more importantly on my training aspect, because then I have to start adjusting training because I'm getting I'm just getting too many aches and pains. So that's a massive thing where I could definitely recommend to anyone is to make sure you stay on your mobility. And then thirdly, I would say probably the most obvious one is nutrition. I've always lived by you can never out-train a bad diet. And again, having a good diet massively transfers to being the best athlete you possibly can be, but then also living the best life that you could possibly be. You could have all the money in the world, but if you're unhealthy in life, then I don't really see the point. So yeah, being healthy and especially being confident in the way you look, I think that definitely leads to having the healthiest life possible.
And do you use anything in particular, any strategy or tool for mobility or for your nutrition?
Yeah, so I use the Hypervolt, the Normal Tech leg sleeves that are really good, because I can just put them on and sit there and relax, and that just does the work for you.
Yeah.
And then their Hypersphere, which is like a vibrating ball, which is really good. And then again, that gets into like my chest area and my lats, and to release the shoulders. So yeah, they're the three main tools that I'd use pretty much every single day. And like I said, if I don't use them for like a month, I can see a massive difference in my training.
That's great. What's one thing that you think would have a big impact on your health, but you have a hard time implementing it, or something you're working on?
One thing. So what's that again? One thing
that you think would have a big impact on your health, but you have a hard time implementing it, or something you're working on?
I think for me, I sometimes get lost with my water intake. Is something I have to really focus on to get the right amount of water in. I can easily go through a week and miss my water intake every single day, just because I get lost with just make sure I eat my food, and then I get carried away with work or programming. So for me, I really have to every day subconsciously make sure I'm drinking enough water every single day. So I just have a little chart where I have my water intake, and then I have to tick that off once I've got that intake for the day, where it may seem like a really small thing, but it makes such a big impact on performance. And it's something that I can very easily go from day to day and not get enough water intake. So yeah, I think for me, it's definitely just making sure I drink enough water each day. And again, it may sound like a simple thing, but it can make such a big impact on your training.
That's huge. That's huge. Last question is, what does a healthy life look like to you?
Yeah, healthy life for me is just being happy in what you're doing. So that could be your job or the relationship you're in. Just being happy and content with my relationship, which I extremely am. I'm very lucky to have Sam as a partner, who is definitely kind of a backbone to me being successful as an athlete. And then being happy in the job you're doing, which obviously I'm so fortunate to. It's not really a job. I love training every single day. And yeah, I get to do that, and I get to travel around the world and compete in all different aspects. So yeah, I think it's just being happy in every aspect of your life, and not getting stuck in a rut, or not being scared to change things because you're scared of what might happen. If you're not unhappy in a certain area, then make sure you put a plan in place to change that, because like I said, yeah, you just got to be happy in every area of your life.
Amazing. Well, Zack, this has been a wonderful conversation, and I'm so excited to see you competing this season, and I hope you have a great season, a great open. And thank you for sharing your story. I think that just by sharing your story and who you are and the things that you've been through is inspiring to so many people. And the motto that you have, or the mantra that you have, start where others stop, is something that can resonate, for someone who right now is feeling overweight or self-conscious, or feeling like, I don't know how I can ever do it. You can see just one step at a time, you've done it, and you've gone all the way to the fittest. So even if you don't have aspirations of competing, it's not unreasonable to be able to really change your life in such a positive way.
Yeah, and if that book manages to just help or affect one person's life, then I feel like that's achieved what I've achieved. About helping people and try and get them in the best, happiest situation they can be in their life.
That's great. Well, where can people learn more about the book, or find you, or follow what you're doing?
So the book will be released in April, and anyone can find me on Instagram. It's just Zack George.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much, Zack.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoy listening to the podcast, please consider subscribing and giving it a 5-star rating on iTunes. It really does help to get the word out to more people.